All right. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How are you all doing today? We're at the top of the hour. We are about to get underway. I'm just going to give this a few seconds for everyone to come in, get cozy. It is a very rainy day here in the Northeast, and so I hope you all are planning maybe have some soup this evening. It's one of the last winter delicacies that I get before summer starts here. So, for those of you who are joining, thank you so much. I'm really excited to have our webinar guest here today, Angela Holland from Dental Solutions. I came across Angela, and I don't even know how our stories of how you had met, but for what you were doing on the practice savings side for dental practices, it just absolutely amazes me. So I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about what some of the work that you're doing on helping to save these practices money through insurance contracts, and how marketing really ties into that as well here too. So before we begin, just to give you guys some housekeeping items here for today, Angela and myself, are going to be talking again, just dental, your dental practice, what she's doing on the cost saving side, what you might be doing on the practice growth side, and that's where my advice comes into play. I'll be moderating, but we'll also be kind of co-presenting. We will try to save some time at the end for some Q&A as well too. So if there are any questions that you might have, please feel free to put them into the chat, and away that we can go. But before I dive in, let me just first introduce Angela Holland. She's the CEO of Preferred Dental Solutions. And sorry, I'm reading off your bio here, Angela. But Angela is an expert in dental insurance and revenue cycle management. And she had founded Preferred Dental Solutions to revolutionize strategic PPO credentialing and fee negotiations with network optimization, empowering dentists to maximize profitability and ensure PPOs are working for them and not the other way around. Being married to a dental hygienist, my wife worked at 3 different practices when we were in Los Angeles. I know exactly the power that you can have for your clients, because this is something that I heard of every single day while my wife was cleaning teeth. To continue, though, with over a decade of experience, she rose from an in-office team member to a successful office manager before building and selling her insurance revenue cycle management company to NASDAQ Corporation for over 7 figures in just 4 years. That is amazing. You are an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Driven by her passion for transforming dental practices revenue, Angela's innovative approach and deep expertise have established her as a trusted leader in the industry. Together with her team, she is spearheading a PPO revolution, driving unparalleled financial success for dental practices. Angela, did I miss anything there?
No, you are a natural at this, Michael. It just rolls off the tip of your tongue. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be with you here, and I'm really excited to dive in. So, on the MyAdvice side, for those of you who do not know who MyAdvice is, so I'm the director of practice growth consulting with MyAdvice. We specialize really in revenue optimization, helping you bring patients to the door and getting your phone to ring through a very well ran and sophisticated dental online marketing strategy. So we were established back in 1998. We currently work with over 3,000 practices all throughout the United States. I've presented before at meetings like AACD, AAID, for those of you who are into neuromuscular dentistry, through the Las Vegas Institute. As I mentioned, I'm also married to a dental hygienist, the world's most evil dental hygienist, by the way. For every cleaning, for somehow it's a deep clean. I don't know why. I feel like it's payback time. But so that's a bit of our background as an organization. We bring a very strategic approach, though, to marketing the right way. And for those of you who are attending this or watching this, and you have been investing into marketing strategies, if your practice is mature and you're used to spending a lot of money but just not seeing good returns come back in, this is a very important webinar for you to be listening into. And consequently, for those who are just getting started, maybe you've just gotten your practice financing, you've got your capital investment, and you're really looking to build your practice, and you need a strategy and a strategic approach. This will also be a very important conversation for you as well too. So with all that as a background, let's dive in here. So Angela, I have some questions here for you, and first I want to ask you just a little bit more about with PDS's Preferred Dental Solutions approach to PPO fee negotiation. How are you doing that? How are you maximizing these reimbursements for dental practices?
Absolutely. So with our two services, we do PPO negotiations, but we also do strategic credentialing, both of which are approached with strategy. So we utilize actual data. We use a software that is licensed to extract insurance KPIs and metrics. We go based off of each individual practice, how the doctor treats patients, which codes they're using, to make sure that we're optimizing each and every fee schedule for every practice. No two dentists practice the same dentistry, and we want to make sure that when we negotiate codes, it is making the biggest impact for each and every practice. And so there's no two dentists alike, there's no two practices alike, and we really approach each practice with a custom tailored approach to their office. We utilize a system, so we extract data, we negotiate higher fees, but we also do what is revolutionary to the industry is network optimization.
Mm,
I'm sure this is a key word that people are hearing, kind of a buzzword right now. And back in the day, insurance negotiations used to be enough for PPO strategy, but now it's not. If you just negotiate your fees, then you're still stuck working for the PPOs and not letting the PPOs work for you. So what we do is we map out each PPO for each practice and how it's serving each location. Once we have that, we are able to decide, do we want to negotiate a higher direct contract? Do we want to drop that network? Is it no longer working for the practice? Or do we want to do something called re-networking? This is where we take maybe a direct contract and put it under another plan. And then there's also opting out. Opting out is different than dropping networks. And this is a strategy that we use to basically block another plan from accessing a lower fee schedule. So we have different pieces of our process to make sure that each and every practice is optimized. We also do this when credentialing a doctor for the first time. We use this strategy to make sure that the PPOs are working for you, and we're not just signing up for every PPO under the sun saying, let's sign up all these PPOs and the patients will follow. That really is the old way of doing it. And our modified and strategic approach is increasing revenue significantly for practices, so much so that we have a money back guarantee.
wow, that's amazing. So, you said a few times like the PPO, like it's like this push pull of like, is the practice working for the PPO or is it the other way around? I mean, how often do you come across that in your world where you feel like these practices are owned by the insurances that they have?
Oh my gosh, it's every day and it breaks my heart because I talk to dentists every single day. Truly, that's not an exaggeration, that are coming to me. They are worked harder than ever. They are making less money. Their overhead is higher than it's ever been. And they're saying to me, get me out of these networks. I've had it. I'm done. And just make me fee for service. And it's almost an emotional approach to a
Yeah.
very valid feeling that they have because they're worn out. A lot of times they acquired a practice, so they didn't have any strategy when credentialing the first time, or they're starting one up and they've just been working for all these PPOs that were originally set up in the beginning. Um, and so every single day I have these conversations with frustrated, tired dentists, and we are able to coach them, guide them, and execute a strategy for them that takes them out from under the thumb of the insurance company every single day. So if they're feeling that way, if you're feeling that way, you're not alone. I have this conversation every single day with many dentists, several dentists a day. So I mean, without exaggeration, every single one of our clients is unfortunately working for the PPO, but we do, by the end of it, we get them to a place where the PPOs work for them.
That's so empowering because, it's so funny. I feel that with the dental practices that I talk to every single day as well too, where there might be stress. It's about, not getting enough patients in through the door. I'm tired of working under the insurance model. I'm trying to shift over into more of a fee for service, or frankly, even if you're not in that position,
Yeah.
like how can they at least have their insurances work better for them?
Yeah.
So I 100% understand that, and I feel that pain with what we find on the marketing side as well too often. The one thing that I always come across, and I don't know if you're finding this with just some of the mindset of some of your clients as well too, but I feel like some of the challenges that our clients have is that they're not being proactive enough, at least as it relates to some of their marketing. There's this, oh, my practice has been around and word of mouth driven, and they've always have kind of relied on like word of mouth as their lead sourcing. But then practice comes into town, or maybe there's a new practice that just opened up, and all of a sudden these practices, they're seeing their patient schedules, they're not booked out as far as they once were. And as we know, like a patient life cycle is around 5 to 7 years, I believe, for an average dental practice. And so they kind of reach this point where it's like, oh crap, like I'm having some growth challenges. And, then they come to me trying to like fix the problem. And the one thing that I would say is that from that type of a mindset is try to be very proactive with how you're also approaching practice growth as well too. I would also be proactive with how you're looking at what you might be doing to get out of the insurance thumb. It might be, and I don't know if you find this with your clients, but do they just take on too many insurances too much and too often and too quickly that they ultimately find themselves being an employee versus a practice owner? Do you find that as
Absolutely.
well?
I do. And I think honestly, Michael, the old strategy with insurance affected the marketing strategies. So, kind of the old model was sign up for as many PPOs and the patients will follow. Let the PPO market to the patient, right? And if you're following that model still, it comes back to it. It then affects the piece of the marketing side and the practice growth side, because when you're working for all these PPOs and you're not marketing with the right company or strategy, then you're also seeing patients. And again, you're in that cycle of working harder and for less money. But when you combine strategic PPO credentialing and fee schedule optimization, and you are honing in on the patients that serve your practice, that revenue gives you the ability to strategize with the proper growth cycle. So you're able to market strategically and let the PPOs do some of the marketing for you, but not all of it, because again, you're going to get into that cycle of working for the PPO. So I believe that when it's diversified, kind of like we diversify our funds
Yep,
and how
totally.
we're investing, I truly believe that that's the best method nowadays. Back even 5 years ago was a different conversation than it is today. So I believe that with strategic marketing and practice growth approach and PPO credentialing and network optimization, that is the marriage that leads to ultimate success and the ability for the practice owner, the dentist, to have the life that they want. It's all about work-life balance. And I hear it every day. They're working. I mean, there's certain strategies where it's like open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday through Saturday. That's not what dentistry was back in the day. And it came to this, out of necessity. And I think we need to reset and get practice owners and dentists working smarter and not harder.
I cannot agree with you more. One of the things that I find as well too, it's interesting, especially when I talk to practices that maybe they have shifted a little bit more into the fee for service model. And one of the questions I ask them is like, well, what are you budgeting for marketing then? Like, what are you doing to invest into yourself? And it's interesting when you're a cash based practice, when you're shifting that way, like kind of an analogy that I utilize, and we both have kids, but it's like imagine being in a room with a newborn baby, and the baby's giggling at you and smiling at you, but I said, hey, you can't touch the baby, you can't goo goo gaga on the baby, you can't hold the baby, and I'm just going to pretend like the baby doesn't even exist as well. Too. I'm not going to feed it. I'm not going to give it love or attention. Everyone, when I give that analogy, says, well, that's a crazy proposition. Why would you ever do that? And so many practice owners are treating their business, their baby, in the exact same way, where they're just not feeding it, they're not nurturing it, they're not loving on it. And that takes financial resources as well, too. Just as a rule of thumb, for those of you who are in a marketing mindset, what you need to be really reinvesting into your practice, you have to kind of think about how do you see yourself as a grower? Are you going to be an aggressive grower? Do you really, really want to dominate your market? Or do you consider yourself to be a little bit more sustainable? Generally, those ratios are about 4 to 6% of what your gross revenue is, of what you're putting back into marketing when you're a sustainable grower. And I would say aggressive growth is around 10%. But think about that in those ratios, and how does that match up to what you're actually investing into right now? I just talked to a practice the other day that wants to build a very, very, very high-end dental implant practice, but is not even thinking about marketing, just thinking that, oh, my relationship, my word of mouth is just going to do the work for me. Guys, that's just that's a recipe for failure. So I'm really excited about some of the things that you're doing on the cost saving side, and then how practices can use some of those funds to really reinvest back into their growth on the marketing side.
Absolutely.
So, question I have here for you as well, then too, since we're talking about this, what are some of the pitfalls? You talked about maybe like oversaturation, just taking on too many PPO companies, but like, what are some of the common pitfalls that dental practices face with the contracts themselves? And
Absolutely. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to ask you, how does your team then help that client to navigate some of those challenges?
Absolutely. So what we see oftentimes are honestly doctors just blindly signing these PPO contracts that somebody's passing along to them. So terms, we want to make sure that the terms are working for you. We want to make sure that the insurance is eligible for future negotiation and optimization. If you are contracting with an insurance that will never allow you to negotiate, then they're dictating what you will always make forever. That's kind of a blind signature that you're working for that PPO from the beginning and until that contract terms. And then also with the opting out. Opting out is something when I was a practice manager, I was not familiar that that was a term that we should know and utilize. With opting out, what it means, for example, Aetna. If you have a direct contract with Aetna, there are 8 carriers at this time that have access to Aetna's low fee schedule. So when you sign that direct contract, most offices say, hey, we only contracted with Aetna. Why is Guardian paying us at Aetna's lower fee schedule? Well, it's because it was not opted out properly or at all. So what we want to do when contracting is also take into account the opting out for all these payers. So I use Aetna as an example, but they are far from the only one that has opt-outs. Even third parties like Zealous, Connection, they have opt-out agreements that need to be taken into consideration when you're discussing contracts. Also, there is a fun term called the most favored nations clause, and this allows insurance to pay on the lowest paying fee schedule. And this is in medical and dental. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are opting out and blocking so that even if the most favored nations clause comes into play, that you're still winning. We want to make sure that those contracts that they are the lower paying, that we're either opting it out and blocking that most favored nations clause, or that you're not on low enough fee schedules that if at some point the networking changed, because it changes regularly, in the industry, insurance networks are changing. I sound like such a spaz because it's like they're changing daily. They're changing daily, literally. But we want to make sure that we're optimizing most favored nations clause, opting out, and also taking into consideration future negotiations, future optimization, so that the practice is always optimized. Most plans on average are able to negotiate every 2 years. So we take that into account for the initial setup or the optimization process as well.
So, with the favored nations clause, let me ask you, and I say this not knowing much about what you do on your side of the industry, but is that something that if, say, like a practice signed up for Delta Dental and they didn't maybe have the favored nations clause at first when they had signed up, is that something that Delta can then just effectively just implement into their insurance plan?
That's a great question. It would have to come under the new contract when they're due for re-credentialing and recontracting. So it would be something that they sign on, but what happens is they're blindly signing on. As a dentist or like working in a dental office, you're literally the office manager brings different things, whether it be prescriptions, or yeah, I mean, just all day
Yeah,
the doctor's signing on the dotted line.
yeah, need this, need this, need this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So these contracts and these clauses and these terms and these agreements, they're always changing. So when a doctor thinks they're just re-credentialing or they're just recontracting, things change. So those contracts and agreements need to be reviewed each and every time prior to the agreement. So absolutely, it can be snuck in there and the doctor never know.
Yeah, going back to that practice owner that's running the 7 to 7, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. practice, you're probably seeing, maybe anywhere from 50 to 80 patients per day with hygiene and cases and things of that nature. You're in a big, busy practice. Guys,
Mhm.
it is so easy to get taken advantage of. And I always tell so many of my clients, like, you have to start to build your team. You know, build your network of businesses in this space that can really help you. So the fact that you even help clients to identify that, or something that they probably might not even know, that they're being mandated and getting the lowest reimbursement because that's what their contract that they signed off on said. Oh my gosh, that's crazy to me to think about.
Absolutely. And I agree. It's, whether people are intentionally taking advantage or not, or if it's just their lack of knowledge and it's an ignorance approach and that's what the intention was versus malicious. I really cannot express the need for hiring and surrounding yourself, like you said, with the industry experts. Find the trusted partners and let them do what they do. Marketing, even RCM, when I had my billing company with our negotiations, these are such niche and true experts. Let them do it, and you will be surrounded by the right partners to support your growth so that I don't think that a dentist becomes a dentist because they love marketing or they love fee negotiations or they love, practice management. They become a dentist.
With the care
Yeah,
patients.
they want to serve the patient. So I think that when they support themselves and surround themselves with the army of experts that they need that are trusted in the industry, that's where the magic happens.
100%. It will come up and bite you eventually by not having the right players on your stable, in your stable of horses that can really help you to cost save, to grow your practice. And so I could not agree with you more.
Yes.
Let's talk about metrics for a little bit because one of the things that we study with marketing campaigns is tons of metrics, tons of data. We've seen so many big shifts and changes, especially in the Google sphere because of AI and how that's affecting practice growth. And I can talk a little bit more about that in a second, but I want to know, like, when a practice is working with you, what metrics should they be looking at to understand the effectiveness of PPO optimization strategies that you help them with?
Absolutely. So some metrics to keep in mind while working with us, we will provide that to you based on the insurance metrics that we pull from your software. But every practice owner and office manager should be well versed in the reports that their softwares run. You need to know what your production is. You need to know what your adjusted production is. You need to know your top codes. I'm sure, as the dentist, you have those codes memorized, but keep those metrics. Know how many 2740s you're completing. Know how many hygiene appointments you're completing. Know how many codes you're completing. um, our software that we utilize pulls those metrics, but what we also pull, or what a metric that will help you, or a tip that will help every practice no matter where you are, is to confirm that your software is sending out your UCRs on every claim. It's not really a metric that your software will pull, but if you can confirm that every claim that goes out to insurance is you're submitting UCR and not your contracted rate, that alone is going to help us increase your revenue during the negotiation process. We have some different tips and tricks to increase the negotiation, but oftentimes they'll say, hey, you've been submitting the contracted rate, so actually there is no negotiation available. So something that I just kind of want to shout out to everyone and shout it from the rooftops is make sure on every single claim your UCR is going out. Your UCR should be in the highest percentile because that is what negotiations are based off of. There are some workarounds to have different costs to patients, and different cash pay fees. But for what's going out to insurance, your UCRs need to be submitted on every claim. Um, as far as actual metrics, we pull all that data from your software, and we have a dashboard that we provide each and every office. So we'll show you those metrics, your TOPS codes, your fee schedules. It's super helpful if your fee schedules are in there. But really, if you pay attention to your production and collection, that's going to be your biggest indicator of these metrics that we're doing. That being said, we'll show it all to you on our system.
Totally, yeah. Transparency is absolutely key. And I'll tell you, with a lot of the cost savings side of what you then help to facilitate, when we put together a marketing strategy, Marketing can be judged by a variety of different metrics. How high is your, where are you ranking on Google, or how many clicks came onto your website? I would say very simply, when you're concerned about those things, those are the wrong metrics to be looking at. The one metric that you want to be tried and true, 100% focused on is revenue. How is my online marketing strategy helping to make my practice much more money?
Mm.
So some things that really help with influencing more of the revenue factor. And I'm going to share my screen here. And just to kind of give, for those of you who don't know much about MyAdvice, just a bit of a framework and a bit of an understanding. So when we work with our practices, with our 20 years of really being integrated within the fee for service space, is that we've also come to understand and identify that there's a process or a framework as to really how you start to build in the layers of your marketing strategy. Um, and all too often, when we work with practice owners, and especially those that might be newer established, they might be doing, a bunch of ads online. They might be doing a lot of Google AdWords, or they might be investing into SEO strategies, but yet they have a really, really poor website, or their Google reviews are not very consistent. So folks, everything matters when you're talking about optimizing revenue, and to increase your, not only just the revenue creation, but to do it in the most cost efficient way. But you have to build a very efficient sales funnel. And the idea about your sales funnel is that everything has to be properly optimized to make everything else work well. But the idea about growth is that you always establish it from the ground up. You don't start by doing it from the top down. So when we work with our practices, this is really a strategy and a framework that we really bring to the conversation. But when I start to apply some general metrics to this framework here, a few things that I'll certainly point out is that a practice, when they're trying to be found online, it all starts with what we call local optimization. What that means is that, hey, I live outside of Philadelphia, so if I was doing a search for dental implants in Chadsford, Pennsylvania, or veneers near me, those are both examples of what we would call a local search. So how a practice is really going to optimize themselves for local search is, number one, is about what we call the consistency of local listings, and then finally the consistency of your Google reviews. And let me give you guys some metrics to think about here. When you are trying to optimize your listings, there's about 60 of what we call these local directories, as well as 15 applications. Your practice's name, address, and phone number needs to be listed consistently among all these profiles. And so in other words, you should be hitting a 100% success rate with your listings across the internet. Your marketing company should be doing this for you. This is actually something that we do for all of our clients when we're putting together a marketing strategy, is that we have software that will help to do this for you. The second metric, when we talk about local search optimization, is Google reviews. And this is oftentimes a very underutilized aspect that I see within a dental marketing strategy, where a practice might have a ton of great reviews, but their last review on Google was from 3 months ago. And consistency is key. So for those of you who have busy practices, think about, between the cases that your doctors are doing, the cleanings that your hygiene department is doing, combine all those numbers together and ask yourself, are you at least converting anywhere from a 5 to 10% return rate of new Google reviews compared to those patient engagements? That's really the metric that you need to be hitting. And even with aligning things like local optimization, for example, what we have found is that, according to data, it's a very great visibility accelerant. So imagine all the things that Angela and her team at PDS is helping you to really generate in terms of cost savings. How are you then reinvesting that back into your marketing strategy? This is just something that we had picked up with looking at over 200 of our dental practices that we help to manage listings for. But within a 2-month cycle, what we have found is that when you have accuracy of your business data, an average practice will see a 23% increase of more views of their practice on Google searches. Direction requests to your practice will increase by 22%. Website traffic increases by 18%. Inbound phone call volume increases by 11%. Again, all these are calls to actions that equate to revenue. So guys, are you measuring your metrics? Are you understanding your data points? Are you looking at month to month or quarter to quarter in terms of, where leads are coming from your website, or where people are going to. All that stuff really helps you to refine more of your marketing funnel much more efficiently. A few other things I'll talk to you about metrics as well too. Social media. How often are you publishing content? Are you doing it minimum 3 or 4 times a week? If you're not doing that, you're just simply not feeding these algorithms between Facebook and Instagram that you're a user of the platform. That's really the cadence that you really need to be keeping up with. This is something that our platform helps with practices with doing, is to really measure and maintain that sense of consistency. Content. Are you adding new content to your website monthly? Do you have a blog that you're feeding new information into? Again, this is all helping these search spiders between Google and even these new AI platforms with ChatGPT. These are now becoming much more sought after visibility channels. And so again, are you at least updating a new page of content on your website once a month? And then finally, I would say as a metric here as well too, with paid ads, if you are investing into paid ads, are you getting a 3-to-1 return on that? If you're spending money on AdWords campaigns, but it's a 2-to-1 or a 1.5-to-1 return, you're not running that campaign as efficiently as what you should. So again, just some metrics, since we're talking about that here, that we find on the marketing side that I would say really, really want to be focused on to have efficiency with your sales funnel online.
That was super helpful for me as well to see the visual.
Yeah, it's funny you said. A lot of our clients will say that they're like, "Oh, now this actually makes sense
Yeah.
to me." No one's actually ever spelled it out and said, "Well, this is how you start to align things." And so I appreciate that. Yeah, it's all again about cost efficiency. We're never here to oversell. We want to really grow with our clients, but we want to make sure that they're doing it in ways that they can also handle as well too. I think this is also going to be a good segue to talking about metrics, but I'm going to share my screen here again. And Angela, you had sent over some really awesome case studies of, some of the cost savings work that you're doing for some of your clients. I want to bring this up, and if you don't mind, I would love for you to kind of walk our audience through some of these before and after cases of what you've been able to do on the cost savings measure of things. By the way, I apologize if you guys are claustrophobic. This is me and the world's most evil dental hygienist scuba diving. But
Incredible.
yeah, let me just open this up here. So I'll let you kind of drive and I'll steer if that's okay.
Absolutely. That sounds perfect. So on average, we are increasing practice revenue by 28%. We have a money back guarantee. That is how confident we are that we will increase the practice revenue. Now, most PPO clients are our ideal client, but we offer a free consultation to make sure that this marriage is going to serve the practice. We are here to partner with our clients as well. Just as you said, this is a long-term plan. This is a working partnership. This is not something that we just hop in and hop out. So Dr. Palmer, he's based out of Mesa, Arizona. We increased his practice revenue by over 36%. This was executed over a 9-month process, and the return on investment was over 10x for his practice. So for this practice, I know actually just offhand, we increased his practice revenue by over $140,000 from one year to the next. It's no additional codes he's completing, no additional patients. He's not open any additional days. This is the existing treatment he did from one year to the next based on fee network optimization and negotiations.
Angela, if I could just interject here, $140,000 of additional revenue.
Yes.
What would you do with all of that extra money for your practice? And let me just put this in terms of context. I would even say our most aggressive clients over a given year probably don't even hit $40,000 a month in terms of $40,000 in terms of yearly marketing spend.
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
It's no-brainer. And then that investment in themselves, and then the additional marketing, the additional patients that they could see if they're in a growth mind. I mean, the revenue just skyrockets from there as well. So this is when they complete no additional codes. But if you're generating more patients, if you bring in an associate, if you're in that growth realm, oh my gosh, this is, unbelievable. No brainer.
How can we get in touch with you?
Yes. Yes.
I want to work with you. I mean,
I know, right?
we'll
I
put your
know.
contact information up at the end here. But yeah, no, guys, the $140,000 of cost. I mean, that is just insane. Talk to me about Dr. Agarwal, if you could.
Yes, Dr. Agrawal, she is one of the founders of Practice by Numbers software. She also is a practicing dentist herself, and we increased her revenue by over 21%. She was part of less PPOs, and there was some less negotiating power, but we still increased her revenue significantly. The ROI was over 6x. So we increased revenue by, I believe it was an additional $70,000 from one year to the next for her as well. And again, it's no additional patients, no additional treatments, but just on a select few insurance plans, we increased revenue. Again, it's just a no-brainer. If you're gonna, yeah, if you're, if you're gonna pay me $1 and I'm gonna give you $6 back, it's a no-brainer.
Oh my gosh. Again, I'll put this in context. Our most aggressive clients are not spending more than $40,000 a year on their marketing. And she saved she saved $70,000 of revenue, or she generated $70,000 worth of revenue. It's a no-brainer, guys. Okay, Dr. Tiffany here.
Tiffany Smolkowski, this was a huge increase. This is a practice out of Wisconsin. We increased revenue by over 43%, and we actually negotiated Delta Dental increase for her as well. We have a real review from Dr. Smolkowski that we did negotiate Delta Dental. And so this was a monumental increase for her practice. Her top reimburser was, or her top payer was Delta Dental. So this revenue increase it's a no-brainer. Her revenue increase, I believe we were at a 9x or possibly a 12x. I might be getting her confused with another office. So again, if you give me $1 and I give you 9 or 12 back, it is so black and white. This revenue allows you to work less, make more, work more, grow your practice, whatever you want to do as a practice owner. This is the freedom that this ROI allows you to do.
Yes, 100%. Taking the trips that you need to go on. I mean, getting away from your practice even, because you talked about burnout earlier. And like 100%. Actually, I was talking to one of my clients who he's working with a practice consultant, and the consultant is over the course of a year had required this doctor to go on vacation twice a year.
Oh,
He had not been doing it at all. Guess what happened when he actually left his practice? And he was doing two required 2-week vacations per year. So in other words, he was gone for 1 month out of a year. His production actually increased by 15%.
I believe it. I believe it. As a business owner, I believe it. This R&R, this work-life balance, this like need to not burn out, it is real. I believe it.
Yeah.
And
so yeah.
We work because we all, need to make a living, but we want to help people. I do believe that, that's my goal, but my family is number one, just as everyone else. And so if we're not allowing ourselves to grow in both areas, then I feel that we are the only ones that suffer. And then it trickles down. If you're a team leader or a practice owner, it will always trickle into your business. It will always trickle into your team. It's just the reality. So I love that.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And again, for what you're doing, it's enabling doctors like that to then take take those opportunities for themselves to increase revenue, increasing revenue even more when they're not there. Anyway, okay. Dr. Rob, this is the last one that I have here as well.
Yes, Dr. Parmenter is based out of California. He is a general dentist. We've increased his revenue by 20%. And he was part of many PPOs, but he actually, before doing this case study, we increased his revenue by over 130 $5,000, if I'm remembering the exact numbers for just him. He actually just brought in an endodontist as an associate. So he is going to be generating more money than ever through increasing the ability to keep specialty in-house. So the increased negotiated fees were, this number doesn't even show this new associate. So I'm assuming we'll increase his revenue by over $200,000 based on these codes and the additional associate as well.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Yeah. And guys, imagine as well then too, let me kind of open this up here. Imagine with a lot of that cost savings of what you're able to then, just free yourself of, not have to really, Angela's helping you to just leverage so much more in terms of growth opportunity. Then how are you then working to really reinvest that back into your practice? I'm going to share with you a case study that we had put together for one of my clients, Dr. Rick Winter. Runs a very, very, very successful dental practice, dental implant practice in Milwaukee. But through some of the marketing investments that somebody like an Angela might help him to be more freed up on to then put into his growth, what we were able to do over a 2-year period is we had increased his marketing ROI by over 5,000% through having
Incredible.
strategically aligned marketing initiatives, not rocket science, but just doing things in a structured way, was able to increase lead generation by 202%, increase website traffic by 167%. And think about, like, what is the average case value like for a dental implant case when you're running a high-end practice? Could be, 20, 30, $40,000, whatever that might be. But even if you were to say convert, a 10% return rate of your leads here, that's about what we call it, maybe 20 leads or 20 patients rather, than they're spending around, $30,000 per case. Again, this is where the combination of great cost savings measures and good efficient marketing really can help to accelerate your growth and to put your practice into, really frankly, orbit. I'm super excited with some of the numbers here that I'm seeing from you.
Well done. Yeah, really, really incredible.
Thank you. So, guys, let's take a pause here. Have some time here for Q&A. If there's any questions that you guys are having, either on the marketing side or with Angela, the work that she's doing with Preferred Dental Solutions, now's your time. We would certainly welcome any of your questions here. And I'll kind of give this a few minutes as well too, if there's anything you would like to ask Angela or myself. We're going to give this going once. Going twice. I had all the questions that I asked you here, so unfortunately, I don't have any side feeders to follow up on. Well, Angela, look, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for this content. I think this is going to be invaluable content for our audience, for our dental clients, and I'm going to pull up your information here as well too, because I'm sure that after watching this and people seeing how much money you could potentially save them, they're going to ask, well, how can they get in touch? So here, guys, if you are, again, interested in any of the conversation or the content that Angela has shared here with you, this is how we can get in touch with you, yes?
Yes, absolutely. Please call us, go to our website and schedule a free consultation. The consultation is with me directly. My team and I work diligently, and we work as a partner of yours to grow your practice so that you can invest in yourself and your practice. It's a no-brainer. And we will always let you know, because we have a money back guarantee. We will always let you know if for some reason it's not the best solution for you. We are in this to work with you and to grow with you. So we will always be transparent about that working relationship.
I love that. Nothing is more, I would say, more trustworthy when somebody can tell me, hey, I don't know if this is actually what you're needing. So I love the fact that
Absolutely.
you say that. And like you as well, too, we consider the roles that we have with the clients that we serve. We're here to be a partner. We're not here to be a vendor. We understand that, again, going back to that example of, the burnt out dental practice owner working 7 to 7, understanding that what's happening in the world of digital, how your practice, how your strategy really needs to be keeping up with those changes. It's just too much to digest, too much for one person to tackle. So, if you're, watching this and you know that your practice really needs some help in elevating your strategy, this is a QR code that will link directly into my calendar. please feel free to take out your phone, scan a complimentary 30-minute consultation with myself. Um, we're going to go through the whole, the framework of that pyramid, help you to understand where your blind spots are, how you could be better positioned, how you could really be utilizing some of the cost savings that Angela does, and how you can then reinvest that back into your practice's growth. Maybe if you're not ready for a consultation, but would just like to keep in touch, this is my Instagram. Please again, feel free to follow me on Instagram, and welcome to seeing you in my DMs. But Angela, anyway, thank you again for your time. I really enjoyed this conversation. I felt like this is really insightful for myself as well too, and hopefully we'll see you at some conferences soon.
Yeah, right back at you. I look forward to having a lot of mutual clients. I think there's a great synergy here in how we can support dental practices.
Awesome, sounds good. Well, till then, everyone, thank you so much for your time, and hope to see you all soon at a meeting or in person. Take care.